Welcome back, everyone, to the Bears Profit Plays YouTube channel. Today is Sunday, September 22nd, and the NFL is back. We got a lot to break down today. Several plays we're going to be talking about. We're going to start with a big matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles and the New Orleans Saints. I'll have 3 total graphic plays with some game picks, and then 2 more breakdowns towards the end of the video for some more game picks. We also have 3 best player props. Those will be towards the end of the video as well. So we've got a jam-packed video. If you guys enjoy the content, please sure to drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel below. Hope everybody enjoys their Sunday, and let's break down some ball. All right, guys, here's a quick recap of Thursday Night Football. Thursday Night Football is back, and it is back to being boring. Jets took it home. We had them minus 6.5. They easily beat the Patriots and covered the spread. Breece Hall, he might have had over 30.5 receiving yards at one time, but he lost a couple yards. I think he finished with 28 or 29. And then Stevenson, I think he broke his finger or something in that game. He had to tape up his hands, came back in for one play and fumbled, and then he didn't see the field the rest of the game. So I think he finished with like 35, 40 yards. So bad player props, good game pick. Here's the updated leaderboard. 1 on the game pick, 0-2 on the player props. We got a lot of games to break down on Sunday. We're going to get right into these. We're going to be looking at the Eagles going up against the Saints. As a Dallas Cowboys fan, people last week thought I was being a little bit too hurtful towards the Eagles in terms of how good they are in the secondary and how good they are as a team. I think I was correct last week because they did lose outright against the Atlanta Falcons. They didn't look great going up against the Green Bay Packers either, giving up a lot of chunk plays in that game. I will give them a little bit of credit because that turf was slippery and not very good conditions for the players and for your defense. But there really was no excuse for the Atlanta Falcons game. They held up decent through the entire game in Atlanta. They just kept driving the ball down the field. And then whenever they needed to stop the most, they couldn't get it done. That Eagles team, that loss, it was basically off the hands of Saquon Barkley, but it was really the coaching of the Eagles. They have one of the worst head coaches we've ever seen in NFL history. Not only does he not know ball, he's a horrible person. He's just an overall scumbag. He fits the Philadelphia fan base extremely well. Not saying that every Philly fan is a scumbag, but if it looks like shit, if it smells like shit, probably shit. In this game, the defense, I think, is going to be a problem again. The Saints, they're scoring 45.5 points per game. Not going to keep up the entire season, but they've been the talk of the NFL so far. I don't think they can keep that up, but I do think they've done that against a good team, the Dallas Cowboys, and I know as a Dallas Cowboys fan, me calling them a good team doesn't really matter, but I think as an NFL whole, we can agree the Dallas Cowboys are a decent team to good team in the NFL, and the other game was the Panthers, so I get why they scored that many points against the Panthers. I do think the Saints are the better overall team in this game, and we're going to see them do whatever they want in this game going up against the Eagles secondary. It looks like A.J. Brown's not going to be playing as well, so that's a huge blow for the Eagles. They didn't look great going up against the Falcons offensively. They couldn't really push the ball down the field without A.J. Brown in the lineup, so I like the Saints here. Minus 2.5 is the play. I'm going to take them 27-17 as the final score. For the next play, we're going to be looking at the Dolphins going up against the Seattle Seahawks. I think the Seahawks might be good. They didn't look great going up against Denver, but they have started their season off with 2 wins. That's the most important part. If we were going to talk about 2 in this game for Miami being on the other side, I might lean towards them, but Skylar Thompson's going to be in there. We saw this guy last year. We saw this guy on Monday Night Football against Buffalo. He is just not an NFL caliber quarterback. I can't trust him in this game, so I'm going to take the Seahawks here. Minus 4.5, laying the small number at home. The Dolphins defense, they've been decent this year, but if Seattle gets any sort of run game going, that's going to open up the play action for Geno Smith. And while Geno might not be a top 10 quarterback, he is a much better option in this game than what we have on the other side with Skylar Thompson. I do think Geno gets a little bit of a bad rap because of his past performances and his past mishaps, but over the last 2 years with Seattle, he has been a top 15 quarterback. The Seahawks defense this season, they have been good, and I expect them to force a lot of turnovers going up against Thompson, who has had problems with turnovers in his past. I'll take the home team here. Minus 4.5 in Seattle. They take this game 28-10. I just don't think Miami can score. For the next play, we're going to be looking at the 49ers going up against the Los Angeles Rams. Both of these teams don't have a lot of weapons, a little bit less hyped of a game than what it should be. I'm going to go through the injury report for the skill positions. We have Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel for the 49ers, Puka Nacua, and Cooper Kupp for the Rams. So both these teams are going to be without several of their weapons, and the San Francisco 49ers still have Jawan Jennings and Brandon Ayuk, while the Rams have to rely on Williams in the backfield, then 2 or 3 guys on the outside that can step up, I think, in this game. And this is going to be really the test for Brock Purdy to see what he's like without all of his weapons. He still has 2 pretty good weapons, Brandon Ayuk for sure, but last week against the Vikings, he didn't look very good. This week against the Rams, he's not going to have his weapons again. I'm going to take the more experienced quarterback, Matthew Stafford, and the Rams to win this game outright. I'm going to take them with the points plus 6.5, but I think they win this game outright. The Rams, they took a tough loss to the Lions in their first game in overtime. Then they got absolutely smashed against Kyler Murray and the Cardinals in the last game. That game was over in the first quarter, but in this game, They're coming off back-to-back losses. They really need to start winning some games to try to gain some momentum. I think the winner of this game is going to be whatever coach draws up the weirdest stuff. I think both of these guys are going to throw the kitchen sink at one another. Both these teams 1-1 for the Niners, not where they want to be. Rams 0-2, not where they want to be. I expect a lot of trick plays, maybe a couple fake punts in this game. And at the end of the day, it's going to be whatever team can find a way to put up a couple touchdowns, because I do think it's going to be a defensive game with the offenses struggling a little bit. I like this to be a low-scoring game, but I'm going to take the Rams to win this one outright. 23-20 as the final score. Take them plus 6.5 as the play. Let's go over to the player props. We have 3 total player props today. We're going to start with a wide receiver, and we have 3 wide receivers on the day. So no running backs, no quarterbacks, no tight ends. It's a wide receiver kind of day. We're going to start with Marvin Harrison Jr. Over 62.5 receiving yards going up against the Lions. The Lions, while the numbers say they're only giving up 225 passing yards per game over the last 2, it feels like the Buccaneers took advantage of that secondary a little bit more than that. Passing in the NFL this season has been way down, including the touchdowns and passing yards. But in this game, I think we should see Kyler Murray have at least 200-plus yards passing. And I like Marvin Harrison Jr. to get things started early again. In that game against the Rams, in the last game for Marvin Harrison Jr., he had 2 catches, 2 touchdowns, nearly 100 yards in the first 2 catches of the game against the Rams last week. It was very apparent that they tried to get him the ball early, and good things happen whenever they got him the ball early in that game. They took a huge lead. They never let it go. I like the game plan to be fairly similar in this one, as the Lions have been very good at stopping the run this year so far. I do expect a lot more quick passes, though, in this game for Harrison, screen passes, quick slants, because Aiden Hutchinson, he's on the other side, and Murray, he's going to be after him the entire game. So I like him over 62.5 receiving yards in this game. Maybe a little bit more screen passes and quick slants instead of the all fade goes like we saw in the game against the Rams. But I like that play there. For the next play, we're going to be looking at the Rams going up against the 49ers. I've already broke this game down a little bit. This is one of the guys that I think is going to step up for the Rams in a big way. We're going to take Tyler Johnson of the Rams, over 33.5 receiving yards. Again, we have the 2 big stars out for the Rams, and somebody's going to have to catch the ball, because the Rams, they love to throw the ball. Matthew Stafford, he loves to push the ball down the field. In that first game against the Lions, 49 attempts. In the second game going in against the Cardinals, he had 27 attempts because they were getting blown out the entire game. They just tried to run the ball in the second half and get out of there. He does have 533 yards in the season, but now his top 2 guys are out. Tyler Johnson is going to step in here, hopefully in the slot position. Really what this is for the Rams, they have 4 guys that collectively have to get them 200 yards. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, usually 100 yards per game. So if they can find 4 guys in this team that can combine for 200 yards, that should be efficient. Tyler Johnson, he's coming off a bad game, only having 20 yards. But again, the Rams, they got blown out in that game, so they didn't really pass the ball against the Cardinals in the second half. In the first game, though, Tyler Johnson, whenever Puka Nacua went out of that game, second leading receiver in the game, 79 yards, 5 catches. He was targeted the second most times as well. I like him here. It's a low number, 33.5 receiving yards as the play there. And for the last play of the day, hang with me. Panthers going up against the Raiders. Adam Thielen over his total receiving yards as the play. I understand you can't be profitable going with the Panthers usually, but Bryce Young is on the bench now. Andy Dalton is coming into this game for the bench Bryce Young. And the Panthers, I have to imagine this is going to be a little bit of an uptick, a little bit of a motivation with somebody in the game that can win them some games. So it looks like Andy Dalton's going to be the guy in this game. With Bryce Young, it felt like they had no chance to win. But in this game, they have a guy who can throw the ball down the field, and Adam Thielen's going to be the biggest fan of Andy Dalton in this game. Last week, we saw the frustration out of Adam Thielen. He had multiple routes that he was wide open, but Bryce Young, he couldn't see him, he couldn't find him. I usually don't see Adam Thielen show that kind of emotion on the sideline, but he was throwing shit on the sideline. He was very upset, throwing his helmet, coming off of the field. But with Andy Dalton back there, I think Adam Thielen's going to have his best game of the year. He has a quarterback that can deliver him the ball down the field. He has been getting open if you go back and watch the tape. So he's going to stay in the pocket, Andy Dalton is. He's not going to get flustered. He's not going to run around. He's going to be able to see down the field. I like Adam Thielen here, over 43.5 receiving yards as the play. Let's go take a look at a couple more game picks. We're going to start with that Panthers game. I'm taking them +6 here. This is the best chance they have to win the game all season long. Andy Dalton coming in off the bench. It's going to be a spark plug for this entire team. They actually believe that they can win some games with Andy Dalton. It's a completely different feeling in that locker room, because if you watch the tape on Bryce Young and you just watch him on Sundays as a whole, you can tell the players they don't believe they can win whenever he's on the field. Andy Dalton, he's a veteran guy. He has shown he can win in the past. Yeah, he's a little bit older, maybe a little bit too old to be in the NFL, but he can still sling the ball. The Panthers, they couldn't have started any worse this season. I think they come out here with Andy Dalton. They win this game outright. I'm going to take the +6, though, as the play. And for the last play, it's going to be Sunday Night Football. I'm the worst handicapper whenever I have to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. So if you made it this far in the video, you might want to pass in this play. But I'm going to take the Falcons plus 3.5. The Chiefs so far this season, I thought they were different from the seasons before in the regular season, but turns out it's the exact same team that we've been seeing over the last 2 years that messes around the regular season, finds a way to win dumb games, then wins the Super Bowl looking like a Super Bowl team in the playoffs. They were a big toe away from losing game number 1 against the Ravens. They were a couple bad calls away from the refs losing that game against the Bengals. A couple bad plays as well by the Bengals, including Jamar Chase losing his mind. It seems like they keep winning these games in the dumbest ways possible, maybe the luckiest ways possible as well. I'm not buying it. I'm done with it. It also feels like the Chiefs are the worst team in the regular season at covering spreads. So I'm going to take the Falcons here. I think they're a good team. Kirk Cousins, he looked a lot better going up against the Eagles last week, had that game-winning drive. Mahomes has not looked like himself this year. Travis Kelce, he's a nightmare having back-to-back horrible games. I don't even know if he got a catch from the last game. The Falcons, if they can get to 20 points, they cover the spread. Give me the Falcons plus 3.5 as the play. Let's take a look at all the plays. We have the Saints minus 2.5. Seattle minus 4.5. Rams, I think they win the game, taking them plus 6.5. Panthers, I think they win the game, plus 6. Falcons plus 3.5 going up against the Chiefs. Over 62.5 receiving yards for Marvin Harrison Jr. We have Tyler Johnson. Over 33.5 receiving yards against the Niners, and Adam Thielen over 43.5 receiving yards against the Raiders. Guys, that's going to do it for the NFL Plays and Props for Sunday, September 22nd slate of games. If you guys enjoyed the content, please be sure to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel below. See you guys next video, and thanks for watching.